This is YGTV and the YG Stage, powered by Circle Electric and sponsored by Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, and Bell Bank Mortgage. I'm your host, Andy Wines, president of Green Up Solutions, here on set at Serendipity Labs. Young Guns is a growing group of entrepreneurs and free thinkers that are sharing the new ways to grow your business, build your brand, and make an impact. YG Stage, powered by Circle Electric, is one of 4 shows hosted here on YGTV, where we feature business owners, CEOs, subject matter experts, and maybe even you to inspire, innovate, and break the rules of business. For all the content shaking up the business industry, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our podcast wherever you take in podcasts. You can also find all this information at younggunsmovement.com. Today, we welcome Dr. Katina Fuller-Scott of Be What Matters LLC. Dr. Katina is talking about the mindset you need to have during a pivot.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop, whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
For more than 80% of families, today's medical billing practices are confusing. At HPS, our goal is to improve the healthcare experience for the patient by making medical bill payments less stressful. In Wisconsin, that's all made possible by our comprehensive independent healthcare provider network. We simplify billing and lower costs for everyone involved in healthcare and offer various ways for individuals to pay without breaking the bank.
Let's welcome Dr. Katina to the stage. How are you this morning?
I'm well, Andy. How are you?
Good, good. What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about mastering the pivots. It's necessary to do what's necessary to get things done.
All right, necessary. Pivots, that's the word of the day.
Yeah.
Why is your pivot, or what is different about your pivot? Why should we care?
Well, really it's about how we all have pivots in life, but it is about how do we process the pivots and move through them successfully that matters. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
So it's the mindset of how to make the pivot.
The mindset.
Not what to do. It's the mindset of how.
Absolutely.
All right. So we know pivots are going to happen in the world. Let's talk about the mindset.
Absolutely.
Dr. Katina, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm smiling because I am so grateful and honored to be here. Not just because I get to speak and you listen, but because I'm here fully walking in purpose, being my most mindful, authentic, and courageous self. While you can't see them, I am the result of failures, triumphs, gains, and losses. And like some of you, I pride myself in the fact that I don't wear my emotions, and that's okay, but it can become a great downfall if we don't pause to acknowledge and assess our emotions and experiences. But how many of you know that you can get so caught up in doing life and going after what you believe that matters, and boom, the circumstances of life can hit you in such a way that it feels like a Mack truck that stops you, disrupts you, and often causes you to pivot. I'm reminded of when life hit me. It wasn't the first time it hit me, oh no, but it's definitely one of the most disruptive moments of my life. My father, at the age of 92, suffering with advanced dementia, fell and ended up in a rehab facility. We sat day and night with him to be what he needed in that moment. And one day, while watching one of his favorite old shows, he leaned over to me and said, "Tina, I like you because you get things done. While I didn't quite know exactly what he was referring to, I remembered feeling a sense of pride and thought, wow, my dad was looking at me, observing the goals I've reached, and he was proud of me and my work ethic to get there. I smiled because it was what I learned from him. You know, maybe it was none of that, but I choose to think it was, so don't judge me. And I thought about in that moment what I endured to get things done. Like some of you, I learned to lead and not complain, be strong and keep working, and suffer in silence because whatever level of success I gained came from getting things done, however I had to get them done. During this time of my life with my dad in rehab, I was in the last year of my doctoral journey that would be 5 years in the making. I had already come through the work of believing beyond hope when my husband faced a cancer scare, and just 5 months later experienced my daughter suffering a cardiac arrest at the age of 16 and seeing them both recover by the grace of God. So I was used to doing the necessary work to get things done until I was faced with another disruption. The hope of Dad coming home became an unexpected reality of his passing just 4 weeks later. Boom, life stopped. When I reached back to gather strength, nothing was there. I wanted to fall back on what I knew, but I couldn't. I had things to do. I'm a mover, I'm a shaker, I'm a leader. People look to me for answers. I had goals and dreams, but stopped. For 8 months, I was in a highly functioning but depressive state, still serving, still smiling, still giving, still leading, but stopped in my desire to go forward. I shared that story to speak to the unexpected realities that we all encounter. A space where we know that there's greater and we need to go forward, but possibilities seem too far away. For me, it was a series of health disruptions, but for some of you, it could be an opportunity that fear grips you. For others, you may be stopped in your desires, stopped in your dreams, stopped in the expectations of what last year should have been for your life, career, or business, and now you're ready to recover. Listen, we all face pivots at some points in our lives, but it's how we pivot that makes all the difference. How many of you know that there is power in the words we hear and speak? I had no idea that the conversation with my dad looking at me with pride would be the words to shock me back to life and the reality of who I am. 8 months later after his passing, still in my autopilot state, I could hear my father's words, "You get things done. You get things done. You get things done." The words pierced me so that it felt like my ears popped after being on a flight. I had unexplainable strength and knew it was time to pivot to get things done. But intention is great, but we also need strategy. I want you to repeat after me. It is necessary. What's necessary? It is necessary to do what's necessary to get things done. Whatever you yet want to accomplish and become, the lives you want to impact, the love you want to experience, the leader you want to be, it is necessary to do what's necessary to get things done. And the necessary work that I'm talking about today is the internal work. It is possibly the most difficult and necessary work we could ever do. I realized I'd become skilled at hiding pain, painful realities and frustrations under the mask of happiness and contentment. But like Paul Dunbar, the mask we wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world we overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. So what can doing the necessary internal work look like for you and me when facing pivots. First, we have to reorient ourselves. Find your position again. Change the focus or direction. Pivot your mindset to new or improved thinking about the experience and the possibilities. Move away from this fixed mindset that this is only the way it's going to be. And you have to see the possibilities behind the inconvenience of change. Number two, reassess the situation. Reassessment often centers us, in some ways forces us to take off the mask, as Paul Dunbar describes. It is where we clarify the why and fully assess what change needs to happen. It is also where we identify and tackle disconnections. And I'm remembering a quote that I love to say is that you can't truly progress over brokenness. Not really. I'm reminded of a story. How many of you remember when you were first riding bikes and you had the training wheels on? And you got to the point where you didn't have to have the training wheels anymore. And you were excited because you had the big bike, the 10-speed and the 12-speed bike. And at some point, you would have your hands on the handlebars, but when you were very courageous or crazy like me, you would take your hands off the handlebars and close your eyes. But nothing prepares you for when the chain jams. You can't move any further. You have to slowly unloosen the chain, and too much pressure will break the chain. And this is what we do a lot of times when we are going through our pivots of life. We try to push through, we try to work through, work over, not deal with, assess our experiences. But you have to identify and tackle the disconnections that are happening in your life so that you can walk fully into it. That's building up your emotional intelligence, your self-awareness, your social awareness, the way you come into a space, how you build relationships. Reassessment centers us. It wasn't until I was willing to take off the mask and deal with the disconnections, with the emotions of the experience, that I was able to push forward with life, fully functioning and present to reach goals like finishing my degree. Listen, my story is not uncommon to many of you. Yet why do we rather keep the mask than free ourselves from healing? Reassessment allows us to answer, what are you holding on to that is not adding value to where you're going? Lastly, realign your faith to intention, attention, and activation. Francis of Assisi reminds us to start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. When we align our faith, we face ourselves staring back in the mirror with unwavering faith that you can get it done. I love what Les Brown says, making things happen in your life requires a faith for an ability to believe that it is unshakable regardless of your circumstances. I want you to write this down. If you want to succeed, you got to guard your focus with everything you've got. That means guarding your resources of time, money, and energy. Listen, you are stronger than any circumstances that has happened or will come. You are tried and true. You are more than a survivor. You are a conqueror. Be strong. Be very courageous. Mount up on wings and go to your destiny. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. Can't walk, crawl. Just get there. Someone's waiting on you. It is necessary to do what's necessary because you are necessary.
All right, Dr. Katina, or can I call you Tina?
Yes.
All right, Tina, we're gonna make it real simple.
Yes.
Formalities are gone now.
Yeah.
All right, so unlike you, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, right? I don't have a cardigan, I got my tattoos out there. I tell it how it is, how I see it.
Yeah.
But you hit me hard. You hit me hard there by saying, right, it's necessary for me to work on me. Here's my challenge. Where do you start?
You start by understanding and really identifying where there's a disconnection.
Yep.
And oftentimes we don't take the time to really think and assess about who we are, what's the clarity, what's our focus, what's our why. And then once we do that and do it well and go deep enough, then we're able to be able to pivot and do the other things that we need to do.
So in the world I come from, in the military world, we talk about self-awareness and then self-regulation, right? So those are two words. It's not self-control. We are who they are, right? But regulate. So how do so you hit that first point, self-awareness, who you are and what you bring to the situation and what's going on with you in that time. So let's talk about step number 2, that's self-regulation. So what are some things that you do in particular, or you've seen successful people do as they go over that mindset shift during the pivot?
Well, be honest with you, Andy, you can only self-regulate when you're mindful, right?
Okay, so we're taking a step back. I'm trying to do the thing.
You got it. You have to start with being mindful, because the mindfulness and self-awareness has to be in every situation. We're talking about emotional intelligence. So self-awareness, social awareness, relationship building, self-management, all of it stems from, first of all, being self-aware and being mindful. So every opportunity, every interaction, how am I thinking about what I'm thinking about? Am I bringing my biases, my assumptions? Have I dealt with it with the mind talk that I need to talk through? All of that is important for us to show up our best selves.
So a lot of people that are watching, myself included, we're employers of a form, right? Whether we own businesses or we're leaders within a business. Right, so when you're challenging with employees, because I think this is one of the challenges a lot of leaders have. We know that one of the number one reasons why people leave an organization is the relationship they have with their immediate supervisor. Okay, so for those of us that are in that immediate supervisory role, what mindset shift or what do we need to go through as we are working with employees that we're struggling with, where our leadership tactics don't work? What advice you have there?
I'm going to be honest with you, and it sounds simple because I still have to take you back.
Let's take it back.
Take you back is that employees really want leaders to be mindful, and they want them to be authentic. So as you're stepping into the spaces of you showing and modeling what mindfulness and authenticity is, then you allow your staff, your partners, your employees to be able to come to that space with you. And that is probably one of the most difficult things, especially with leaders, because we're taught that we can't be punks, right?
Oh yeah.
We can't look like a punk. People come to me for answers. And so it wasn't even in my story. I knew I was a leader. People looked to me and I could not afford to deal with the emotions and the experience. But it wasn't until I did it that I was able to bring my full self to the space.
Were those your emotions and experiences or those around you, their emotions or experiences?
It's a lot of both.
Okay.
It's a lot of both.
Because you got that mask, like you said, those 8 months of you were doing the thing.
Absolutely. No one knew. I wasn't around crying. I wasn't around. I was showing up.
Did you know?
Did I know?
During those 8 months, did you know that you had a mask on?
I did not. I promise you I did not, because I was doing what I automatically do. I was on autopilot. As a leader, a lot of times, because we have so many masks that we wear, sometimes people want to put masks on us and others we put on ourselves. But it wasn't until I heard those words, you get things done. It's like the shattering of this cloud that I'd been walking in and the realization that, girl, you're on autopilot. This is not the natural space for you to be in.
So as soon as you stop doing the things, and then sitting with it.
Yes. And it was hard work sitting with it.
This is free therapy for me. That's a fact, Jack.
You know, you gotta pay me for therapy.
No, we're talking about, I'll take you to lunch. We'll get lunch. Done.
But that is the hard work. The hard work, and the more that leaders, and this is why I love working with leaders, is because we are taught and programmed not to go to that space. Because it leaves us vulnerable, and we don't want to, again, appear that we're weak. But it is when you lean into that vulnerability of going to that space is where the power is.
All right, lean into the vulnerability.
Lean into the vulnerability.
What's that line? I'm gonna steal your. I see it because you have it like you have a slide, right? We all use slides, right? It was driving me nuts when you were saying this because I was trying to wrap my head around it, but it hits the truth, right? It's necessary to do what is necessary because you are necessary.
You are necessary. Absolutely.
I'm stealing that line.
Yeah. Just give me a little credit.
A little credit every time. Dr. Katina says, right? I'm gonna read it. It's necessary to do what is necessary because you are necessary.
Absolutely.
Right. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
The lessons learned, and I know I can I can implement them in my own personal life and within our team. And I know it's a great lesson for those that are watching to take from and learn from as they move forward and prosper.
Yeah. We all have pivots. Let's move.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Big thanks to Dr. Katina for taking the YG stage here at Serendipity Labs. Now, are you ready to step on the stage, or do you know someone who is? Help us feature the best speakers around by heading to YoungGunsMovement.com and applying to be on the show. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, tune into the podcast, and stay up to date with the Young Guns on social media to get the latest content. I'm your host, Andy Wines, president of Green Up Solutions. Thanks for tuning in.